require in the future of work. And to this, we have introduced mandatory courses across the school, across all schools, across university, and they will go through the courses that are life skills courses, signature courses, which makes a student of UPA stand out and take on life at any time and any way. We at the disruption time seamlessly moved into online teaching. We conducted the proctored examination, perhaps only university in the country that conducted proctored examination on time. This again we did with a dialogue with our students, so that they do not miss out on the employability. We also been in continuous contact with the students during the pandemic, moved to online teaching, did some kind of pre-semester learning with webinars and the industry leaders throughout the pandemic time. And I think, as I already mentioned, no other university in the country have maintained the deadline of semester as we have maintained in our university. So today I would not take too much of your time, so that Shiv can all talk to you. The only way, of course, we know to do great work is to love what you do, is what Steve Jobs said. But how do we give emphasis on understanding what the student's passion is, and how do we create the student to take on the job that he would like to take, and perhaps make the right choice. So what at a university we do is we give emphasis on mentoring the students, handhold the students, guide them throughout their learning period in the university. With this, I must say, at School of Business, we have been, even during the pandemic, we have been able to get a CTC of 27 lakhs. Now the question comes that, is money is the money the important variable? But there are a lot of students who would like to take a job which gives a decent or a very high CTC. So I think these questions of what makes a successful career, is money most important variable for a career progression, dilemmas while you're switching specialization and maybe sectors. Where should one begin or become an entrepreneur? Is role important or brand important? Is something that Shiv will touch upon. So let me briefly introduce you introduce Mr. Shiv Kumar to you. Shiv Kumar, or Shiv as he is popularly known, is currently Group Executive President at Aditya Birla Group for Strategy and Business Development. He joined the ABG Group in January 2018. Prior to this, Shiv was Chairman and CEO for PepsiCo for 4 years, and before that with Nokia as CEO for India and later emerging markets for nearly a decade. Shiv has been a CEO for half his career and was one of the youngest CEOs in India. Shiv worked in HUL for a number of years, mostly in marketing. Shiv has worked with over 50 brands in his career and seen many businesses transformations. So with this, he would be, with this experience or wide experience, he would be able to give you about the spectrum, a wide spectrum of different brands and different industries. Shiv is an avid sports watcher, a great fan of Manchester United and Barcelona football teams, John McEnroe and Roger Federer in tennis. Shiv is a believer in giving back to society. Shiv has been on the board of governors of IIM Ahmedabad between 2012 and 2017, Godrej Consumer Products between 2009 and 2017. He was the president of the All India Management Association in 2012-2013. He was chairman of the Mobile Marketing Association from 2014 to 2019 and chairman of the Advertising Standards Council of India for 2018-19. He is currently on the board of XLRI and IIM Udaipur. Shiv has been awarded many times in his career, Best CEO, Best Brand Builder for Leadership, for Turnaround, etc. The awards most dear to him are the two Distinguished Alumnus Awards he got from IIT Madras and IIM Calcutta. He is one of the 20 people in India to have distinguished alumnus awards from both IIT and IIM. Shiv is married to Hamsini, who runs her own brand, innovation, and semiotics consultant company. Though we don't need any introduction to Shiv Kumar, I have already given the introduction. And over to you, Shiv. We will have you speak for half an hour, if that is okay, and then take on the question answers from the audience. And also, I have a few questions that I will curate and ask you post your presentation.
Sure. Thank you very much, Geeta. And will you please put up my slides, the organizers?
Let me see.
Yeah. Can we go full screen, please?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls of UPES. It's an absolute privilege to do this for you. Geeta has been pushing me for many, many months to do a session with UPES. And finally, this happened. So if you have anybody to thank, it's Geeta for her perseverance in pushing me to do this session. Okay, next slide, please. So I've just go back. Yeah, I've just released a book. It's in pre-order right now. It's called The Right Choice. It's about resolving 10 career dilemmas for extraordinary success. It's available on both Amazon and Flipkart. The book will be delivered to you between the 14th and the 17th of Feb. You can order that right now. It's also available on the Kindle version, which you can download straight away on the 14th as soon as the book is released. It's physically available in all outlets by the 14th or 15th of this month. So please do tap into this book, and I'm sure that a number of questions which you have about careers, etc., will be answered through the 10 dilemmas in this book. Next chart, please. So managing a career is a very important thing. And why am I talking about managing a career today compared to maybe 10 years ago or 20 years ago? And it's a very important thing for all of us to recognize that careers need to be managed today by the individual as opposed to a company managing a career or a boss managing your career. Next slide, please. So here's the reason why I believe you need to take the management of your career into your hands. If you go back to 1960, the average lifespan of a company in 1960 was 60 years. Today, it is less than 20 years. For example, whether it's Pinterest, whether it's Facebook, whether it is WhatsApp, none of them existed in 2000, just to give you a sense. Okay, they're all companies which have been born in the last 20 years. So today, the average life of a company is less than 20 years. However, between 1960 and 2020, the average lifespan of a human being has increased. People who are born today will live to be 100 in India. The average lifespan in India is 72. If you're born today in India, you live till 85 or 90, I think. So now suddenly we have a situation when the individual's career is between 30 and 40 years. However, the company's career or lifespan is only 20 years. So this is a complete mismatch from what we've seen in the past, where invariably the company lifespan was significantly higher than the individual's career lifespan. Next chart, please. So why manage your career? If you don't manage your career, in a fast changing world, you'll be left behind. That's one part of it. And it's quite likely that you might not be able to come back into the mainstream in any significant manner. And that's the reason why you need to manage your career. Next slide, please. So I say this in the introduction of the book, a career is lived forwards but understood looking backwards. This is what happens to all of us. At the end of your campus, education, you'll go take a job. then you are a junior manager, then you'll get promoted to middle manager, then you'll get promoted to senior manager. As you go through the process, you're constantly looking ahead. Very few people look back and say, hey, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? So maybe when you're 40, maybe when you're 50, you might look back and say, hey, maybe I could have taken a different turn, a different twist in my career. So my book aims to give you that advantage of saying a career is lived forwards but understood looking backwards. And I've tried to get as many as 24 outstanding professionals to share their dilemmas with you so that you can learn from it. Next slide, please. So you are in college right now, the bulk of you. You are in second year, you're in first year, wherever you are, and you're looking to do well in college. You're looking to maximize your grades, your education before you get onto the corporate world. So what are the dilemmas you have in college at this point of time, which are some things that you need to resolve before you get onto the corporate sector, and you have to make these choices today. Next slide, please. So the first dilemma when you are in college, both in first year as well as second year, is for you to ask yourself, which subjects do I take? By definition, the MBA is a width degree. It's not a depth degree. Okay, by definition, it's a width degree. So if you look at the width of opportunities available, you have something in the area of digitization. I'm sure you have courses there. You have something in the area of finance and control. You have something in the area of operations. You have something in the area of supply chain management. You have something in the area of marketing. You might have something in the area of digital marketing. So I have given you a why you'll have something in the area of economic and political history. Okay, you'll have something in organization behavior. So you might have about 15, 20 disciplines to choose from. Okay, so invariably a lot of people end up being a jack of all trades, just picking some credit courses, some non-credit courses, etc. When you're picking your subjects, you must be extremely clear as to what you're passionate about. Are you passionate about sales? Are you passionate about operations? Are you passionate about finance? Are you passionate about marketing? What are you passionate about? And based on that, you must choose your subjects wisely. Because if you are passionate about a particular topic, then you must go and do the very best in those topics. When I was, in your shoes doing my MBA, in my second year and my first year itself, I decided that I wanted to specialize in marketing. In the second year, I took 7 marketing courses, and in 6 of them, I got an A+. I really was dedicated to marketing. So it's extremely important that you pick your subjects. So if there are 10 disciplines, you must try and pick your subjects with enough depth in 2 or 3 of them. Maybe a combination of finance plus marketing, maybe a combination of digital plus marketing, maybe a combination of finance plus operations, whatever it is. In those 2 or 3 disciplines, delve deep and ensure that you've got enough subjects and enough meat on your CV in that. So it's absolutely important. Don't just go and say, okay, don't just do a, spray and pray. You just stick 10 courses and then say, okay, maybe I'll be fine there. You must understand yourself. You must know what really excites you and choose your subjects based on that. Next chart, please. This is a very important question. Which project should I do? In every B school, you have project work. You start in term 1 itself, you have projects, then you have term 2, term 3, then you have a summer project, then you have projects even in your second year. Invariably, in most business school, what happens is if there are a project team of 7 people, okay, 2 people work and the other 5 are sleeping partners. They don't do anything. Don't let that be said of you. If you're part of a project group, you must do your very best to contribute to that group. The other thing which a lot of people make a mistake on is when project groups finish their work and make presentations. When project groups finish their work and make presentations, if there are 7 people in a project or 10 people in a project, each person takes 1 slide and presents. That's a useless exercise. Never do that. If you're presenting, it doesn't matter as long as you've contributed to the project. You must get 1 person or at best 2 people to communicate the full project. That is when the project will have impact both with your classmates as well as your teachers. Each person doing 1 slide is actually a very silly exercise. It's a very democratic exercise, but it ensures that you lose. You'll never be able to pull the whole project together and communicate the key findings of a project. So number 1, don't be a sleeping partner. Be an active participant in every project. Number two, don't do spread your butter thin by every person wanting to talk when the project is presented. Let one person present it. Let two persons present it. But the team will benefit if there is focus behind the presentation of the project. Next slide. So which summer job should I look for? Many people look at summer jobs as final placement. Many companies look at summer jobs as final placements. In Aditya Birla Group, we evaluate all our summer interns, and if they meet a particular requirement, then we typically tend to give them what you call a PPO. In PepsiCo, we used to do the same. In Nokia, we used to do the same. Our typical PPOs range by about 70%. Okay, 70% of people who do summer jobs typically tend to get a PPO. Why does this help the organization? It helps the organization because we see the candidate over 8 weeks. We have a better sense of that candidate rather than a 25-minute interview. That's one. Second is we have made the candidate work on live projects. Because they worked on live projects, they have interaction with various people. They've got a good sense of the culture of the company. Okay, that's what is important. So ask yourself, when you're choosing your summer projects, okay, I know that it's a lottery, it's not in your hands completely, you cannot choose it, but you must define the domain. If you want marketing projects, you want operation projects, you must always try and go take a summer job in the best company in that domain. If you do that, you're giving yourself a much better chance for your final placement too. Okay, next slide, please. So which industries are good for the future is a question which will be going on in your mind. I believe any industry which is a platform industry, which has a wide ecosystem, any industry which is digitally savvy and fluent, those are the industries of the future. You could well think, let me pick a safe industry, let me pick FMCG, let me pick durables or whatever it is. And there's no harm in picking that. But those are not the industries which are shaping the future. It's technology which is shaping the future, is digitization which is shaping the future. And that's what you should really spend your time on. So look at leading edge industries, because that's what will give your CV enormous value when you work for a leading company in a leading technology area. Next slide, please. Which skill sets are needed for the future? I think digitization, end-to-end digitization is an almost given. I think every single company has recognized this, especially after the pandemic. Okay, a digital business model is the de facto business model in every company now. If you look at the American e-commerce market, e-commerce was 16% of America's retail sales before the pandemic. Today, it's close to 40%. In India, of total e-commerce sales, 12% is FMCG. The FMCG boys used to be very arrogant and say, we don't need e-commerce. Today, they have no choice but to partner. So I think skills in digital are absolutely paramount for a future world. Everything will be digital. A digital business model is something that you need to understand. Next is the way value is created in every industry is changing significantly. If you take the airline industry today and jet engines as an example, today the jet engine makers like GE, Rolls-Royce, etc., they give the engines to the airline and they run them on what is called a fee or a hire per hour of use. The engine manufacturers do all the service, do all the repair, maintain all the data points, etc., and charge the airline on a per hour use basis. Okay, pay per use, as they would call it. So the number of business models are changing in every sector. So you need to really be good at business models. You need to understand how value is created in every industry and for the company. And the last one I would say is revenue management. Why would I say revenue management? It's a very simple thing. The reason I say that is e-commerce is changing price every day. Okay, in the past, we'd have price stability for maybe 5 months, 1 year, 12 months, etc. Today, e-commerce price stability is there for 5 hours at best. If an item is doing very well, e-commerce will pick up its price, called surge pricing, which I'm sure that all of you have experience with Uber. On the other hand, if a product is not doing well, they will cut price and flog it. So when your category is competing with e-commerce boys and girls, you need to ensure that you manage your revenue very smartly. And hence revenue management will become extremely important. So anything which is digital in your organization will be critical. Anything to do with business models and creating value from consumers will be critical, and anything to do with revenue management will be critical. This is not to say that people management is not critical. I think the fundamental promise and premise of any organization is the way you manage your people. I think that's an absolute given. You have to be very good at that in order to get ahead. Next slide, please. Next question that all of you will have, you're leaving UPES in a few months or a year, etc. A question a lot of people have is, what's my relationship with my alma mater? I submit to you, the relationship with your alma mater can only be one of pride. It cannot be anything else. It's very much like the soldier in the Indian army. The soldier in the Indian army has to be proud of being in the armed forces and being proud of India. If he were not proud, he would not defend us and he would not keep you and me safe. And that's the same with your alma mater. You have to have immense pride in your alma mater. Remember that you are the ambassador of your alma mater. When people look at you at work, whether you're good, whether you're bad, whether you're average, people will make up their mind on your alma mater and its quality based on what they see in you. They might see only one person, which is you, but then they make up their mind on the whole institution, which is your alma mater. So today you're seeing me speak here. You'll make up your mind on IIT Madras, IIM Calcutta, and Aditya Birla Group, because that's what I represent here with you. That's how we are judged, whether we like it or not. So you must always be very proud of your alma mater, but more important, you must be a great ambassador for your alma mater. If you do a great job of being a great ambassador for your alma mater, then you will open doors and windows for people who follow you from your alma mater. That's one of the roles that you need to play in being a damn good ambassador for your institution. Never forget that. Always wear it on your sleeve and be very proud of your institution. Next slide, please. Next question, which a number of you will have, is entrepreneurship a good idea? Entrepreneurship sounds very sexy, very doable when you look at the outside. And I'm sure a number of you are sitting around in a cafe or a dinner table and thinking, we have this idea, let's go and do it. 2-3 things. Number one, entrepreneurship requires some experience. So it's always good to have some experience under your belt before you become an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship also requires some capital. So people need to back you. You need to have some savings in the bank before you do that. If you go straight away from being a student into an entrepreneur, you need to have the right capital, and it's unlikely you'll have the experience. And while entrepreneurship looks very good and very doable, I would say it's not in the first 3 to 5 years. Get some experience under your belt, understand how ecosystems work, understand how things work in the various disciplines of sales, marketing, operations, distribution, manufacturing, etc. And only after you have a very good sense of that should you try it. You must always have a safety net when you turn an entrepreneur. Okay, so if it doesn't work out, what are your options? What will you do? Will you go back to a job? What are you going to do? So always think of the worst case scenario to say, if things don't work out my way, what are my options? Okay, so that's extremely important. It's very, very, rewarding at one level, creating something on your own, building a brand, building an institution, hiring people. There are 63 million MSMEs in India, and they employ 110 million people, which is 25% of all the employment in India. So the reasons for entrepreneurship are very good, but my submission to you is that the timing is also very important. You must know when to time, you must know when to enter. Whenever I teach in Indian business schools, most people tend to ask me, Shiv, which company should I join? Whenever I teach in international business schools like Harvard or Wharton or Kellogg's, after the session, the students come and tell me, I have this idea, Shiv, what do you think? Do you think this idea has merit? So spend a lot of time on your idea. Craft the idea, recraft the idea. Please ensure that you get it right. If you don't get it right, remember, you only have one chance. And hence getting the idea right first time and then, iterating it as it becomes more and more better is crucial. Next slide, please. Another question which a lot of people have in your mind is, can I be real friends with my classmates? I always believe you can be. And let me explain why. I also say you should also be very good friends with all the people who work with you. Don't look at them as competition. And that's the mistake you make. On campus, remember, somebody has a CGPA of 8, somebody has a CGPA of 8.5, and you tend to think that 8.5 is better than 8. On a numeric basis, it is true. But if you look at life and a career, 8.5 versus 8 does not play out in real careers. Remember that. It never plays out. Because in a career, you need luck, you need timing, you need enormous patience, you need energy, you need emotional intelligence, you need a number of things in order to succeed. It's just not bookish knowledge. So, my submission to you, be friends. Your friends will open doors for you. Maintain that network of very strong friendship. Okay, all the people who are studying with you right now will be your real friends for life. And when you are at work, never look at the next guy as a competitor. And it's easier said than done, but how can one do it? If I'm sitting in office and Gita is sitting next to me, and I say, you know what, Gita is running at 40 kilometers per hour, let me run at 45, and I'm better than her. You might get away with that and you might do well. But what happens in 3 years' time when you go for another interview outside your company? Suddenly you'll find somebody else who's been running at 80 kilometers per hour for the last 3-4 years, and suddenly you recognize you're unfit. So my submission to you is, do not get into relative comparison. Be the absolute best. If you join a company in sales, ask yourself, are you the best salesperson in that industry? If you join a company in marketing, ask yourself, are you the best marketing person in that industry? Not just your company or zone. So think at an absolute best level. Are you the global best? If you constantly try to be the best in your sphere or in your domain, you don't need to worry about relative competition. Your classmates will always appreciate you, will always be proud of you when you achieve something. But that achievement has to come by really treating them as friends and by actually carrying them and not being enemies with them. Next slide, please. Next, what's my relationship with my teachers? Now, we tend to see, when you are in B school, you tend to see, teachers as a necessary evil. That's completely wrong. My teachers at IIM Calcutta and IIT Madras, I'm still friends with them. Professor Sudas Roy just retired last year. Professor Ramanuj Majumdar, who taught me a lot of marketing, retired last year. Even today, they're very proud of me. In fact, when I sent them, the synopsis of my book, Professor Sudas Roy wrote back to me saying, Shiv, you continue to make your teachers very proud of you. So you must all, your teachers wish for you the very best. Remember that. Your teachers don't want you to fail. They want you to succeed. In my career, I've noticed that there are two types of people who are able to judge potential and how people will do very well. One is teachers in your business school, and one is distributors in the market. The distributor in the market sees many area sales managers, sees many brand managers. Over a period of time of 20 years of his distribution, he's seen 100, 200 people. He's able to easily make out who has the long term and who has the short term in him or her. The same thing is true with teachers. Teachers are very clear in their minds as to how they judge people and how they judge talent. They're a very good judge of talent. Do not ever forget that. So I would say reach out to your teachers. They can be huge emotional anchors for you. Keep in touch with them after you go out of your institute. Remember, they have your very best interests at heart. So once you leave the institute, don't ever say, my teachers, let me say bye-bye. They were just a necessary evil on campus. Don't think like that. Next slide, please. So to end back again with the book, The Right Choice. This is a book which I started about 18 to 20 months ago. I finished it during the pandemic. It's on pre-order right now from Feb 14th, from Jan 14th, sorry. I started with 15 dilemmas. I then whittled it down to 10. I started with 60 people to talk to. I brought it down to 24. I got a few people to do all the research. In each of the 10 dilemmas, I have written about 2,000 to 3,000 words, introduction based on my experience of what I've seen. And then I've got people who've experienced the dilemma in real time in life to actually talk about how they resolve the dilemma. That's what this book is about. This is about the journey from being a management trainee to a managing director, the dilemmas that one faces, the 10 dilemmas that one faces when one goes through this. So this is what I've written. Please do feel free to order it. Order it on the net. It's on a Kindle and it'll reach you. And I really hope you benefit from it. And most important, once you read the book, please do send me your feedback. I'll really acknowledge that and really value that. And possibly I'll use your feedback to ensure that the reprinted version, the next edition, is even sharper and even better to meet your requirements. So that's all I had to say, Geeta. I've taken exactly 26 minutes, I think. Okay, so thank you
you
very
so
much.
much. Thank you, Shiv, for your invaluable insights. I think you covered the entire spectrum of a student life and also spoke about the depth of knowledge that is required, and also the skills that is technical technology, digitalization that we most of these schools are, and the new education policy is talking. And at UPES we are already ahead on implementing those. Thank you. I actually have, and thank you for your time, Shiv. We know how busy you are, and this half an hour, 1 hour is extremely precious for you. But thank you so much for taking time off and
My
talking to
pleasure.
us. Yeah. So I have a few questions
Please go.
that the students have already asked in their, and we have picked the best questions. And you must understand, most of them are undergraduate, and some of them are even from the 12th grade now. But we are also going to give them, for good questions, we are going to give them some gift hampers from UPES, which will go. So I will read out some of the questions that
Give them my
came by.
book, Geeta.
Yes, we will do that. Yes, definitely. So there's one question from Shubham Bosch who's asking that I'm confused about whether to do a regular or part-time MBA, and why is everyone focusing on SQL these days? I think in SQL he means that standard query, standardized standard queries in everything that is being done. So I think there's a training of standard queries. So should he do a part-time MBA or a full-time MBA? Do you think there's a difference? And why this SQL mode for everything, selection
Yeah,
process,
SQL mode is
everything?
basically because people don't have the time to delve into a topic. They want what I call condensed information capsule. It's pure laziness. If you're very good at something and you want to know about something, then you must go and invest time and effort in this. Okay, and this is one of the ills of management schools and education. Before an exam, we'll go to somebody and say, okay, now teach me for 2 hours what you've learned. And then we think that we'll go and max the exam. It never works. Okay, that is the SQL mentality. So don't even go there. If you want to know something, then delve deep into it and do well. Part-time course or full-time course depends on where you're working. If you're working in a place where you're learning a lot and you believe that you can continue, you have a good career, then doing a part-time course is fine. But you're starting afresh, then do a full-time MBA course and then pick up a job. That's what.
Okay, thanks, Shiv. The second question that I'll pick is by Karishma Bhatnagar, who says, as a leader, how can we motivate our employees in the times when the company is at a loss? There are multiple, add-on question: is capping CEO compensation a good idea? It is said that the syllabus we study during our graduation is not only what is needed to be part of a good organization. So how can we be different from others studying with us? What makes us special during an interview? I just read out a couple of them which he asked, but you can pick up anything.
Anyway, too many of them. Let me see
Yeah.
how many I remember and pick up. Number one, I think CEO compensation you talked about.
Yes.
About 50 years ago, the
Capping
CEO
CEO
the CEO's salary to average salary would be about 30 times. Today it is 400 times or 500 times. Okay, now why has that happened? Because it's a winner take all world. When the role of a board is to employ a CEO, hire a CEO and fire a CEO. That's what the board does. Okay, so the CEO is free to bring his team or her team, do the work. If the results are good, they are kept. If the results are not there, they're asked to go. The average CEO life tenure in America is between 4.5 and 5 years. The average life tenure of a CEO is 4 years in India. And once you're a CEO, if things don't work out, there is no other job virtually. You drop over the wayside. So it's a high risk job. And that's the reason people are doing it. Am I an advocate of that? No. I believe there are many people in the company who add significantly more value. And I think that's what you should really, think about. Okay. Just repeat some of the other ones,
Yeah,
please.
the other question is, as a leader, how do you motivate your
Yeah. So
employees in
when
the
you are in
times
a
when the
loss,
company is
correct.
as a loss? Yes.
Absolutely. That was your first question.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say the thing about leadership is that you must always be authentic. Times will be tough, times will be good, times will be bad, whatever it is. But as long as you communicate the truth and tell them this is what it is, this is how I see the picture, this is how I see light at the end of the tunnel, this is what we should be doing, and then you are committed and you show the very best of it, then people will follow you. That's the only way. Be authentic, tell them the truth. A lot of leaders don't tell people the truth. That is the sad part. I've seen this again and again. And the sad part is even a lot of uh, employees don't tell their leader the truth. Okay, they're also doing puffery. Okay, so and that's a very bad habit. And each person is hoodwinking the other, and hence trust is gone. So a lot of trust in organizations is superficial at this point of time, and that's a real worry for me.
So there's Rupal Gupta who's asking, after working hard for a profession, I finally made it and got the degree. But right now, I want to do something that is not much related to the same profession. I think she would have worked first and then got into a degree or post graduation or whatever. So should I go for it or the same profession, or should I enhance my career? So should I go for a different where she's interested in, or should she enhance in the career in the same field only? Because I think this is a dilemma that she's facing.
I would say you must always choose what your heart tells you, where your passion is. If you're
Mhm.
passionate about something, so suppose, for example, you are doing a job right now, but your passion is dancing, pursue that. Or your passion is sport, go and pursue that. That's what I'd say. You must always pick something which you believe you'll really enjoy. Because if you pick something which becomes a hobby, then you tend to do it much better. For me, marketing was a hobby. Then being a CEO was a hobby, and I loved it, and I continue to give my best, and that's the way it should be.
Okay. So, Shashwat Dubey, what are future career prospects in sectors like aviation and oil and gas management, considering changing energy consumption patterns, rise of electric mobility, and impact of COVID in these sectors?
I
I
don't
guess
think
COVID is
oil
going
will
to
go away
get
for a
over,
long
but
time.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it will stay here at least for the next 20, 30 years. Oil won't go away. Similarly, coal won't go away. I don't see that going away, etc. Their usage might come down, but I think they will also innovate in the future. So each of these sectors, airlines is absolutely very important. It is it is one of the industries which is the death of distance. Like mobile phones are the death of distance, airlines are also the death of distance. So as long as you have 8 billion people across the world, as long as you have 210 countries, as long as you have sightseeing, as long as you have income rising, one of the most visited cities is Paris, number one. Okay, you want to go and travel, etc. So airlines will always have a future.
Okay. So there's a question by Ashutosh Agarwal. He says, being MBA, I expect certain amount of salary, but due to COVID, it's been very difficult. So should I choose a job with less salary, taking into consideration that it can affect my personal life and career in many ways? So I think he's thinking money is. Should I choose money or should I choose a job with less salary? Is that okay?
So that's the first dilemma I have addressed in the book. Is
Mm.
money very important? Here's my point of view, having seen many careers destroyed by the pursuit of money. Okay, let me give you a thing. Please don't understand that money is unimportant. Money is important. You must be paid your fair salary and your fair worth. There's no doubt about that. Unfortunately, as the Beatles said, and as ABBA also said, money doesn't buy you happiness. Money can act as a hedge against sorrow. It can take away a bit of unhappiness, but it can't give you happiness. Okay, so let's take the current situation in terms of where you say you're not getting the salary you deserve. So let's take the salary you're expecting is 5 lakhs and what you're getting is 4 lakhs. Let's start with that. Okay, you're getting, 20% less. So whether you're earning 30,000 rupees a month or 40,000 rupees a month is not going to make a difference in the long term. In the first 5-10 years, salary is not the reason you should work. You should work for the learning in a company, the culture of a company, and the brand value of a company. If those three are good, then you'll get a multiplier on your CV in the coming years. You really need money when you are after 40 or 45, when your children's education needs to be taken care of, when your parents' health bill has to be paid, when you need to build a house. That's when you need all the money. But surprisingly, most MBAs change jobs in the first 5 years for 5,000 rupees here, 6,000 rupees there. That's a useless exercise. I think what's extremely important is in your first 3-5 years, don't overstretch yourself. Don't live on the credit card. Don't live on EMI. Live within your means. If you do that, you'll be fine. And don't compare yourself with various other people. I remember when I was in Hindustan Lever, and I was an area sales manager in Andhra Pradesh. We had a tough year in Hindustan Lever. I used to take a bus and go to Vijayawada from Chennai, back-breaking journey of 420 kilometers. I used to travel by bus. And all my classmates would say, hey, you know what, this classmate of ours is going business class to Dubai, business class to America, etc. Yeah, that's his life. It doesn't matter to me. Okay. For me, I slog for my company. I do the best. Okay. He can fly business class. I am going bus. That doesn't matter. Okay. So you must be very, very clear when you start. Give your company, give your job the best in terms of your mental effort and physical effort. Don't worry about 5,000 rupees here or there per month. It does not alter your horoscope. Okay. Go and join a place which has excellent learning, excellent culture, and a good brand name, and multiply your CV value. When you start, Ashutosh, your brand value is 0. The company you join, that brand value is 100. By the time you become a senior manager, your brand value will be 50 or 60, and the company brand value will be 75, 80. The combination of that will be 150. The combination when you start is 100 only. Remember that. So that's the way I want you to think about it. Okay. There are many people who chase money and who are dead. There are many people who chase titles and who die. I knew an ex-boss of mine who said, by 40, I want to be a vice president. By the time he was 45, he didn't have a job in the marketplace. He was retired. So don't do these artificial milestones in your life.
Thank you, Shiv. So I'm going to pick up a few questions from the question answer box that is, So there's Tamish Maggu who's asking, should I leave my job to prepare for my CAT exams? And this is a related question, which I think there's one more question on IIMs, which says that why is IIM students, getting preference over in placement? Is that right? So
So let
combining
me tell you.
two questions.
Good. Yeah. So I believe if you believe that, you want to do an MBA, you want to go and do a CAT from one of the IIMs, by all means, please do that. You should do that. Okay. Don't regret later on that you didn't try it. Give it your best shot. And if you can get in, fantastic. Next question, why do people, regard people from IIMs get preference? Here's the simple thing. The IITs and IIMs are a filter process. Okay. So the very best students from school go to IIT. The very best guys from various places go into an IIM because it's a competitive exam. There are 21 IIMs, etc. So when a recruiter is looking for people, he doesn't want to go through the headache or the worry that am I choosing right or wrong. He thinks that going and choosing somebody from IIM is a fail-proof option. It's a security blanket. That's what he's doing. As the UPES brand becomes stronger and stronger, as each and every one of you becomes a very good brand ambassador and work very hard and make a difference, then suddenly you'll find that changing. Okay. So that is the reason why it happens, because it's a filter system.
So I'm going to pick a couple of more questions, though there are a lot of them in the in the inbox. So let me ask one which Abhishek Bhaskar has asked, which he says, does coming from a diverse background affect future career options, like doing a bachelor from finance and then opting a marketing in MBA?
Not at all. I think diversity will be extremely valued in the future world. The more diverse you are, I think the better off you are. So I would actually encourage diversity. We are encouraging diversity of men, women, socioeconomic, education background, religious background, differently abled people. So diversity is very important. However, in a company, I always believe that inclusion is first, diversity follows. If the company is an inclusive company, diversity will become a natural phenomenon. But if the company is a diverse company, does not mean there will be inclusion. Remember that.
And a few questions on, is a foreign MBA or foreign graduation better than the
Very
Indian?
good. Now read the book. That's dilemma number 2. Should I do a second MBA or do a first MBA? That's dilemma number 2. And I've got Kirtika Reddy, ex-MD Facebook, and I've got Bhavya Mishra, who is CHRO of PepsiCo, to talk about that dilemma. So a number of people opt for a second MBA. After the Trump administration, now with the Biden administration, you can go and do a second MBA and maybe still work in the US or UK, etc. It becomes more attractive right now. But you must be clear about why you are doing it. If you're only doing it to enhance your ability to work abroad, be on the global stage and earn a higher salary, then fair enough. Okay, but if you're in a good company and you're learning, it's better to stay in that company and progress much faster.
So there are two questions which are similar. One, Karan Nautiyal, he's asking, as you said earlier, we should give 100% to a topic, that he meant passion. But what if we don't end up finding it interesting? I think maybe he's saying interesting, or that skill is no longer valid in the field.
Then you must pivot and change. Absolutely right. You must pivot and change.
Yeah, another question.
A good example I'll give you, let's take ITC. ITC was in cigarettes. They pivoted many years ago to hotels, to FMCG, to milk, to water, etc. Very successfully done. The head of one of the largest cigarette companies in the world, he said that cigarettes will no longer exist after 15 years. That's a very brave statement. So when you recognize that your industry is dying or on its way, then you should pivot. I used to say the same in PepsiCo. I used to tell all the PepsiCo senior managers that soft drinks will die, sugar will die. You have to innovate, you have to move. Very few people drink soft drinks today. Everybody drinks a juice, or everybody drinks something to do with milk. So when you recognize that something is not working, you need to pivot. The same is true for your knowledge.
Okay. So there's similar question, which is like, in between the study, if I realize that this is not my area of specialization, but of course, institutions do offer multiple options. But
Junket, move. A simple advice I'd have for you guys, whether it is a subject, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a boss, whether it is a company, cut your losses. Don't stay in something if your heart is not in it. Cut your losses, cut it in the fastest possible time, move on to something else. Life is too short, don't waste it on regrets.
Okay, and there are some questions that the students normally have. Should I go in for a brand, or should I go in for a profile, or a good profile in a smaller brand, or or a big brand and a small, maybe a lower profile? What should I look at? These are some of the dilemmas which.
Yeah, a small company and a big title seems very appealing. But small companies will never have the resources to give you for your ideas. On the other hand, a big company with a small title or smaller profile might be better for you when you start, because that big company will have the resources to back your ideas. Okay, that's what I would say. And again, as I said, the brand value of the company, the culture of the company, and the learning in that company, that's what you must look at.
Okay, so Alisha Rastogi is saying, as you said, that IITs are the best, but what would you do if we don't get into IITs? And for students of other institutions, so what is your suggestion?
No. You are confusing 2-3 different things. The question was, why do people give preference to IIMs? That's where we started.
Yeah.
Okay. And I told you that IIMs and IITs are a filter. And an employer wants a safe option. He doesn't want to go to 20 institutes. That's why he's doing it. That does not mean that if you go to IIT and IIM, you'll become CEO. Not true at all. Today, less than 3% of a batch of IIM makes it to CEO. 3%. 97% don't. Remember that. So going to an IIT and IIM is not a guarantee of being a CEO. Don't ever equate the two. Your question was, why do they get preference in the first job? Because they're a filter. After that, it's results which matter. When I hire for my team, I don't bother whether the guy is IIT or IIM. I look at his track record and see whether he has the energy, he has the attitude, he's willing to learn, he's willing to be positive, he's a good team player. That's what I look for. I don't look at IIT or IIM.
Thank you, Shiv. So there is another question which is as a BBA student, do technical skills give a different edge to a resume? Which technical skills should we practice so that we can excel better in corporate world?
So the BBA degree is up for review and debate right now. IIM Indore is the only one which has a BBA, a 3+2. We don't know how it's going to work out. Even industry has not been able to figure it out. I think we'll learn as we go by. Okay, assuming that the BBA teaches you all that's there in an MBA, etc. I would say the skills you should definitely need are digital skills. I think that's something very important. The personal skills you need are communication skills. I think you should develop that. Whether you're an MBA or BBA doesn't matter. I think communication becomes very important. I think analytical skills will always be very important, but not from a data side as much as from an insights perspective. Data is commodity. So churning data, how to multiply, those days are gone. I think it's much more about the insights from the data.
So we have domain specialization BBA courses, which are also IIM Bangalore is planning now, as I was talking to some of my colleagues there, that they are planning to get into the domain specialization and sector specialization undergraduate, so that there is a depth in the knowledge that they study, and they can get into a general MBA later on. So this is what that we are doing. So is a couple of more questions. So there's one question on, I have an amazing startup plan, but I lack capital and I don't want to go to the bank for raising funds, because you spoke about entrepreneurship. So yeah, but though we have some ideas here in the school of, in the university, we have a innovation and entrepreneurship center which supports students with ideas, and we are planning to convert, or we are our intention is to all see that 25% of our students become entrepreneurs by giving an ecosystem. But yes, Shiv, your answer on this.
I would say ask your parents, ask your friends, ask your relatives if they're willing to fund you. That's all I would say, nothing more than that. So if you start off with your premise saying, I don't have money, how can I help you? So, and really test the idea, do enough around it. Okay. And if the idea is worthwhile, trust me, you will get people to invest.
So, due to paucity of time, thank you so much, Shiv, for this wonderful session. And we would love to have you in the campus today. In fact, soon sometime, because we are one of the most beautiful campuses in the country, surrounded by Dehradun, yes. Okay. Surrounded by mountains. And today in this season, we had snowfall around in the mountain tips. Awesome. And it's a beautiful view here. Thank you so much. And we will definitely have you, if time permits for you, we will invite you over to our university. And I thank all the participants who had participated.
Thank you very much, guys. All the very best. Do well wherever you go. Study well. Be proud of your alma mater. Stay in touch with your friends and teachers. And I'm sure that each and every one of you will have a successful career. Do read the book, and please do send me the feedback. I'm more than happy to get it.
Yeah, we will definitely take a few with the university. Thank you so much. Thank you.